You ever wonder why your trading plan crumbles the moment you're in the trade? Why your confidence evaporates, and you're suddenly bargaining with hope instead of managing risk? Let me be clear from the start. This video isn't about strategies. It's not about entries. It's about the mental architecture that keeps your mind from breaking down when real money's on the line. Today, we're going deep into the one thing that separates stable traders from the emotionally wrecked: risk management. But not just the math of it, the psychological necessity of it. By the end of this video, you'll understand why risk management is not optional, how it rewires your trading brain, and why without it, your best setups will still fail you. Stay with me till the end, because what we're about to uncover might just save your trading career. Let's start with a story. There was a trader named Elias, 6 figures up by mid-year. He was sharp, methodical, aggressive when it mattered. But one earnings season, he broke pattern. A biotech stock he believed in gapped down 40%. He froze. No stop, no plan. He told himself he'd wait it out. Then he added more. By the end of the week, he'd erased everything. But the damage wasn't just financial, it was psychological. He started fearing the open, avoiding setups, second-guessing every move. What failed him wasn't his strategy, it was the lack of a risk framework to protect his mind when things went wrong. Because in trading, things will go wrong. Let me tell you what risk management actually is. It's not just stop losses and position sizing. It's not a spreadsheet of tolerances. It's psychological armor. It's the structure that keeps your nervous system calm, so your decisions aren't hijacked by emotion. You don't manage risk to avoid loss. You manage risk to preserve cognition in the face of it. Because without that structure, your mind will reach for anything, to escape the pain. Let me paint this clearly. A trader without risk management lives trade to trade. Their identity sways with every candle. 1 red bar, doubt. 2, panic. 3, rage. But a trader with a plan, they lose and still feel composed. Why? Because the loss is expected, predefined, contained. That emotional containment is everything. It's not strength, it's system. You don't need to become more disciplined. You need to build a process that makes discipline easier. That's what risk management is. It removes decision points. It pre-commits your future self to actions your current self would sabotage. Here's a truth most traders learn the hard way. The market will always expose your weakest cognitive link. And risk mismanagement? That's where it shows up first. So let's break this down even further. A trader without risk boundaries is like a ship without ballast. Every gust of emotion tips them. Hope, fear, revenge, greed, all of it pulls them off course. But a trader with structure? They're grounded. Flexible, yes, but anchored. Let's explore 4 psychological anchors risk management provides. Cognitive relief. Knowing your max loss keeps your brain from spiraling into fear loops. You're not trying to solve uncertainty on the fly, you've already made peace with it. Emotional distance. Small, pre-planned losses keep you objective. You're not emotionally negotiating with the market every time price moves. Identity anchoring. You define yourself by process, not profit, not performance, but fidelity to your framework. Resilience. With risk capped, recovery is always possible. Emotionally, you remain agile. You don't need to win to feel whole. And if you're getting value from this, if this has made you pause and reflect, tap that like button. It tells the algorithm this content matters. And if you want more deep dives like this, subscribe. Because this channel isn't just about trading strategies, it's about the mind that executes them. Let's keep going. The reason most traders collapse psychologically isn't because they're weak. It's because they've built no walls to contain the chaos. Risk management is that wall, that frame, that boundary. It says, I accept that I can be wrong, but I won't be destroyed. And that acceptance is freedom. Because once your identity no longer depends on being right, it becomes focused on staying consistent. And consistency, not conviction, is what builds careers. Let's go deeper. Because the truth is, most traders don't fail from lack of knowledge. They fail from emotional compromise in moments that demand clarity. And that compromise happens when risk isn't contained. Imagine walking a tightrope blindfolded. That's what entering a trade without a risk plan feels like. You might make it across once or twice, but eventually you slip because there's no net. And what risk management does is build the net before you take this step. It doesn't remove risk, it makes it survivable. Now let's address something crucial: the nervous system. Because risk isn't just about numbers, it's about regulation. It's about what your brain and body do under pressure. When you take on too much risk, your sympathetic nervous system activates. Fight, flight, freeze. Stress hormones flood, focus narrows, logic vanishes. And what do? You either double down out of desperation, or you freeze in confusion. Either way, you're no longer trading, you're surviving. But when you pre-commit to risk parameters, your brain knows where the floor is. There's no spiraling, there's clarity, there's containment. This is why so many traders feel more calm the moment they add a stop loss, even if they never get hit. It's not the tool itself, it's the psychological signal. I am protected. Let's talk position sizing. Too large, and even a small fluctuation creates panic. Too small, and you stop respecting the trade. The sweet spot? Size that makes you alert, but not afraid. Risk that demands focus, but not fear. That's the nervous system alignment you're after, because you can't build mastery on a flooded brain. You build it on regulated attention, and risk management is your regulation tool. Here's a practical takeaway. Before any trade, ask, what's my max loss on this setup? Can I emotionally accept that loss? If I lose, will I still feel stable enough to follow my process tomorrow? If the answer is no, you're not managing risk, you're managing hope. Let's flip the question. What does it feel like to be a trader who's protected? Think about it. You're in a trade. It's going against you, but you're not panicking. You're observing. You're alert, not reactive. Why? Because you've rehearsed this. You've prepared for it, and that preparation becomes presence. The goal isn't to be fearless. The goal is to feel fear and still follow your plan. That's real composure, and it comes from structure. Let me tell you this. Every emotional blow-up you've had in the market started with a violation of risk. Too much size, too loose a stop. No boundary for your nervous system to rest in. Fix the structure, and you fix the mind. Coming up next, we'll explore how risk management changes your identity as a trader. Let's talk identity. Because how you manage risk doesn't just shape your results, it shapes who you believe you are. Most traders don't realize they've fused their self-worth to their outcomes. When they win, they feel worthy. When they lose, they collapse. This is identity fragility, and it's dangerous. Because now every trade is more than just a trade. It's a referendum on who you are. That's why risk management is more than a technique. It's a psychological safeguard that allows you to separate identity from performance. When you have rules, you have refuge. The outcome can hurt, but it doesn't break you. Because your worth isn't riding on the result. It's grounded in process. Let me offer you this lens. You are not a trader who sometimes follows rules. You are a risk manager who occasionally trades. That shift, that reframe, it's transformative because it centers your identity on stability, not scorekeeping. Think of the top 5% of traders you admire. They don't succeed because they always win. They succeed because their identity is built on something deeper. Integrity with process, trust in preparation, respect for risk. That's their edge, and it can be yours too. Every stop loss is a message to yourself, I value longevity over ego. Every position sizing rule says, I want clarity more than chaos. Every journal entry you write about your mindset, not just your metrics, says, I am building mastery. This isn't about playing safe, it's about playing long, because endurance is a strategy. Without risk management, trading becomes identity roulette. You feel powerful on green days and powerless on red ones, but with it, you decouple your emotions from the equity curve. You show up the same, win or lose. That's not detachment, that's psychological conditioning. Let's take this deeper. Risk management creates a space, a psychological buffer where emotions can arise but not override. And in that space, you gain awareness, you gain pause, you gain presence. That's what most traders lack, not intelligence, not strategy, but space to remain human in the face of volatility. Here's the simplest, most profound shift you can make. Stop trying to become fearless. Start learning how to trade while feeling fear, without surrendering to it. Risk management makes that possible, because once you define your risk, you've already defined your worst-case scenario, and that clarity is power. Let's ground this with one more principle. A risk-managed trader doesn't chase trades. They filter trades. They don't need the next setup to work. They need themselves to work. That's the root of consistency, detachment from outcome, connection to process. Next, we'll explore how to ritualize risk and embed it so deeply into your process that it becomes automatic. Let's talk about ritual, because without ritual, discipline collapses into willpower, and willpower, under stress, is unreliable. Ritual, on the other hand, is dependable, predictable, safe. Think of elite performers, athletes, musicians, soldiers. They don't wing it. They ritualize preparation. They embed muscle memory, so they can perform under pressure. Trading is no different. If your risk plan isn't automated, then your decisions are vulnerable to the very emotions you're trying to manage. Ritual is how you embed structure into your nervous system. So let's get specific. Before any trade, run your checklist. Did this setup meet your criteria? Confirm your stop. Is it where your idea breaks, not your comfort breaks? Size your position. Does it align with your max daily risk cap? Log your state. Are you calm, focused, reactive, desperate? Then, and only then, execute. This is how you begin to trade like a professional, not by being smarter, by being more prepared. Prepared for the loss, prepared for the trigger, prepared to walk away. Because the most powerful traders are not addicted to outcome. They are addicted to preparation. Let's add one more layer, post-trade ritual. Did you follow your rules? If not, why? What state were you in? What did you feel just before the breach? Log that, because that's where your growth lives. Review isn't just about metrics, it's about mindset. It's about tracking the invisible, your attention span, your breath, your composure. You're not just building a strategy, you're training a nervous system, and that nervous system needs consistency to trust itself. When you repeat your risk rituals, you train your brain to feel safe inside uncertainty, and that safety is what unlocks flow. Flow doesn't happen from certainty, it happens from containment. Your rituals contain the chaos, they shrink the unknown, they build a rhythm that outlasts emotion. So if you're tired of feeling out of control, don't add more indicators, add more ritual, because your rituals become your edge. They are your signal that you are no longer trading on impulse, you are trading by design. Let's pull back for a moment, because what we're really building here isn't just a risk protocol, it's a trading philosophy, and that philosophy is grounded in one truth. Risk is not an obstacle, it's the field of play. Every candle, every tick, every move you make is painted against the backdrop of risk. The traders who thrive? They don't avoid it. They dance with it. Eyes open. Rules intact. So let me ask you, when was the last time you entered a trade and felt nothing? No rush, no tension, no need. Just calm clarity. That is the fingerprint of risk mastery. Because when risk is structured, your emotions are free to be felt, but not followed. You stop being reactive. You become responsive. You don't need every trade to work. You just need yourself to work. That shift changes everything. Let's address one more common fallacy. I just need to win more. No, you need to lose better. Risk management is your tool to lose well, to lose small, to lose consciously. Because success in trading isn't about how high you climb on good days. It's about how gently you land on bad ones. So ask yourself, what's my daily loss limit? What emotional signs tell me I'm reaching tilt? Do I have a ritual for walking away, not as defeat but as design? These aren't backup plans. They're blueprints for longevity. And longevity is the forgotten edge. Most traders blow out not from one bad day, but from one unmanaged day that spirals. You prevent spirals with structure, with standards, with a plan that holds even when you don't. Think of your risk rules like a compass. They don't remove the storm. They guide you through it. The tighter your compass, the faster you find your way back to center. And that center, that stable internal posture, is what every trader is secretly seeking. Not thrills, not glory, not revenge, but clarity. So if you've been treating risk as a constraint, reframe it. Risk is your foundation, your structure, your freedom. It's what lets you trade from presence, not pressure. And in that presence is where mastery begins. If you've made it this far, you're not just a passive learner. You're someone who builds structure, builds discipline, builds a mind that doesn't break when pressure hits. So here's the final truth I want to leave you with. Risk management isn't just a tactic. It's a language of respect. Respect for volatility, respect for uncertainty, and most importantly, respect for your future self. Most traders are chasing freedom, but freedom doesn't come from avoiding rules. It comes from honoring the right ones. Rules that ground you, rules that filter noise, rules that protect your psychology from self-inflicted wounds. So what do those rules look like? They're simple. Never enter a trade without a written risk plan. Pause before every execution. Step away after emotional triggers. Review with honesty, not judgment. This isn't discipline for discipline's sake. It's how you create safety inside the storm. Because make no mistake, markets are chaotic. They are beautiful and brutal. But how they feel to you will always reflect the structure you bring to them. You don't get to control the market, but you do get to control exposure. That exposure to price, to risk, to emotional volatility. That's your battlefield. And your rules? They're your armor. So as we close, I want to leave you with this. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your preparation. Prepare well, risk wisely, and build something you can be proud of, not just in profits, but in poise. Because true mastery isn't loud. It's composed, measured, protected by design. Thank you for walking this path with me. If this spoke to you, share it. If you want more like it, subscribe. This is where the real work begins. Inside you. Your edge isn't just in your setup, it's in your psychology,